Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Anyway, I do believe they call them a bracket clock to work on, and I'll make sure to leave the name of it because I'm going to butcher it if I even say it. So it'll be right here, and the best I can find, or I should say, Mark found it for me. Is a bracket clock there. They're saying it. Let's see. They're saying it's a 1905. My clock is a bit different, but it looks like the movement is pretty much the same. So anyway, let me show you the clock I have. So this is the clock I have. It does have these little brass pieces in here, which I've only found one clock, and I think it's on Etsy or something like that. Anyway, they don't even know what the clock is. They're just advertising the clock like this. But like I said, it has the little pillars and the brass. This here is brass around the door with the little handle that's part of this clock. It looks brass, but I almost want to say it's silver, but I looked at the side of the door. Anyway, on here, yes, the dial's dirty. I haven't done nothing to this. And this here is how you'd control the fine-tuning of the speed of the clock, as in, is it ticking too fast or too slow? And then this one here, you have it on chime, or if you don't want to hear it chime, you'd put it over on silent. It's got a pin with a little pearl on it. They didn't have a taper pin, I guess. But this clock does play West Ministry, and this here clock also is missing the spring, suspension spring, and so I've got an aluminum can I'm going to make one out of, because I have no idea what size I need or anything else, and so that aluminum can is going to be my help, I guess is the way we'll put it. Anyway, this clock has no names on it whatsoever. It is running without a pendulum. I had to straighten out the arm that holds the pendulum, I guess we'll say, because it was all bent out of shape. And why? Because when I bought this through GW, they left the pendulum in there and it beat around as it was being shipped, so things got bent. But the clock is running right now, and the music plays. So let me turn this clock around and look at the movement. So as you can see on here, this here is brass with holes in it, and then there's material. Again, no name. You can see it's running. The part that makes the music it's opened, and it's like plates in there that are put together to be able to make the music happen, I guess. There's 4 plates in there. This does have a number on this side, and on this side it looks like it says a 16. Let me get my magnifying glass, and let me see here. 48015. That's only marking on here. There's nothing else. The only thing I'm going to do this clock is I'm going to take it out and I'm going to oil it. And perhaps there might be something on the front of the movement. Normally you don't see that on the front, you see it on the back. And to me, a company that won't put their name on the movement or whatever, it's almost like they're ashamed they built the clock. I mean, that's my opinion, because they know there's other manufacturers out there that make movements, and why not always show off your name? So here I'm going to go ahead and bring it up to the hour so you can hear the full Westminster and the gong. So let me take the front hands off, all three of them, and then down here there's a place where you can I guess we'll call it a thumb screw or whatever, release both of them so I can take that out, but I'm also going to have to remove the gong rods by taking that screw out so I can get that out, so everything will come out easily. So let me get all those pieces taken out. It looks like I got to take this bracket off too, and I don't know if that's original, this back bracket here, to keep the clock movement from leaning forward, because evidently this wasn't enough, or like I say, they might have added that later. That's almost what it looks like to me. I got the two nuts off, and I don't think I can get it out because we have the dial in the way, so I'm going to have to take off at least one of these brackets, if not both. I have a feeling both. I got both brackets out. I don't know if these are homemade or not. I almost want to say they are. And now to somehow or another get this out. So here we got the only thing I can see so far is a 48015. So both plates are marked. But look at all of this. It's almost what I guess I'd say beautiful. I didn't realize it had one of those on there. So like I say, I'm just going to oil this. Look at this. It's impressive to look at some of these old movements. So looking inside, I'd pretty much say this here has been possibly serviced, because all the gears inside really look nice. So because this is new to me, like I say, I'm going to go ahead and oil it. And while this is out, I'm going to figure out what I need to make a suspension wire. And like I say, I don't even know how long it needs to be, and that's why I'm going to use the aluminum can to figure this out. And it looks like this here, there's a screw right here that goes clear through. I'm going to have to open that up in order to get the wire or the suspension spring or my aluminum can in through here. We'll see if the can will fit through, otherwise I might have to use a razor blade to open that up. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and oil this first before I make my suspension spring. I also wanted to mention, you see these clips here. This one's missing, and I don't know that you could buy them anymore, but I'm good with it. Technically speaking, you don't necessarily see it. This here's got 3 nails here and a screw to hold that bracket in place. And this has tarnish on it or whatever, but I'm not worried about that. And overall, it doesn't look bad at all. Still, no real date or anything else. I got this oiled up, so I'm going to go ahead and get her back in there, get my 2 nuts back on with the bracket, and call her good, I guess. Oh, before I do, I told you, I got to make that suspension spring for the pendulum, so let me work on that. So now I need a hole for the pin up here, and I'm going to use a taper pin through here to hold the pendulum. Well, I know it's not perfect. It is aluminum can. But with that length, now I can put the hand on and kind of test just how fast this thing's going. It does have speed control on the front, but the pendulum also has a screw so you can get really close and then use the front speed control to mess with the raising and lowering for a fine tune. This here is to get it really close. So this clock on eBay, the movement looks exactly like my clock movement. I'm going to take out my suspension spring that I made out of aluminum can because I need to shorten it because the clock needs to speed up quite a bit. Because it's only been about an hour and I'm about 5 minutes late, we'll say. So I cut about a 1/2 inch off of there because I still have play up and down, and I also have play down on the pendulum, so I have plenty of room. When I finally get the right measurement, I'm gonna say, then I'll look in the book and see which spring, suspension spring I need. So far I have it so it's actually running just a little bit slow. I can adjust the pendulum now if I wanted to, raise it up a little bit, and I'll have the right speed. So this is the way you can make one of these suspension springs out of aluminum can to test how long of a suspension spring you need. But you got to remember, the thickness of this pop can isn't necessarily the same as a suspension spring. You're just getting the idea of how long it is, and they have only so many suspension springs in there, and there's a chance they either have yours and you can buy it and put it in the clock and see if you can get it to run, or just leave the aluminum in there because it is working. You cut it off in order to get it possibly to the right size so the speed will be right for your clock. I also wanted to show you this here only gives you just a little bit of movement up and down, which should be plenty. When you're adjusting your clock, you should have this disc halfway so you can get the ballpark of what you need, so you can get this set really close and then adjust it from there for your fine tune, or adjust it from here for the best tune and then do the fine tune. Also, oops, I triggered it. Anyway, the silencer, it has this bar here that goes over. When you silence it, it holds on to the fan, the governor, so it doesn't move anymore. And it does have a stop on here to stop it, so you can only just turn it so far. And again, there's my aluminum can suspension spring. So you can see how much I started with. This all was on there. And I just kept cutting it until I got to the size I needed. And this is just a taper pin in there so I can hook my pendulum onto it. And this is a better look. These are the teeth that make the hammers play the Westminster. And you can see these are plates in here. There's 4 plates in here. And it's hollow, obviously, through here. And so, if you guys happen to know what this movement actually is, because we're just guessing for what I have on the title. Again, for this number here, 48015. And over this way, we have it 16. That's the only markings on this movement. But this is what the back of the movement looks like. And this is the front of the movement. Like I say, this to me is a work of art. This also has thick plates. That works very well. So I'm going to measure these plates for thickness. .34 millimeters. Each one of these has a wire, which is a spring wire, for the hammers to spring back and forth or whatever. So I'm going to actually install it in the box, make sure my hammers are hitting the gong rods the way it needs to, and put the hands back on. And so it's nice to know a way to figure out your suspension spring by using an aluminum can. And who knows, I might forget to buy a new one, so it might run just fine with the aluminum one in there. It's free because you use the can or you found it in the ditch, take your pick, and it's working fine in my clock. Anyway, on time savers, the best I can figure, the part number that I'd actually need if I was to order one is 24695. And that's it's 20 millimeter to 5 millimeter, and that there's what is that? It's the overall length and width of the suspension spring, and then from pin hole to pin, it's 15.5 millimeter. So if that helps you, great. If you want to just try it out with an aluminum can, or because I tried it out and I kind of got the right part for you, maybe. Not any guarantee. Anytime you order parts from a clock place, you're doing the best you can. Anyway, hopefully you subscribed already. Give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, God bless.